I'm with Shian Valery Dimitrov, well-known champion, 22 times European champion, 3 times world champion, so one of the most famous karateka in the Kyokushin sphere, in the Kyokushin world. He's come from Bulgaria to give us some training in this French camp, and he gladly accepted to do this interview for the viewers, for the Kyokushin practitioners all around the world. Thank you, Shian. Os.
Thank you for inviting me for this interview.
My pleasure. So I've prepared a couple of questions about your career. You recently retired from competition, that's right. After such a tremendous experience, I guess you have fought in many countries. You have fought for European titles, for world titles as well. You have maybe you're maybe one of the most experienced fighter in our beloved discipline. So I've prepared the questions around the Kyokushin and how it affected you, how it really affected you in your daily life as well. Because Kyokushin is not only combat, we know it's martial arts, so it really has a lot of values through it. My first question is, can you briefly tell us about your beginnings in Kyokushin, how it happened, how you discovered it?
Well, first, when I was a teenager, I was watching a lot of action movies, and then I started reading literature, and I wanted to train a martial art with the full contact.
Yes.
And at that time, the dojo where I'm still training was very popular, and especially the main instructor, Shihan Georgi Popov, who was teaching also in the army, and my father used to be in the army before. So little by little, when I got 14, that's 1995, my father took me to Army Sport Karate Club Trakieł, which is my dojo until this day.
Oh, so really it's almost like a family business, we could say.
I'm the only one practicing
Yes.
karate, but still my father knew about Shihan Popov, and he took me there.
Oh, that's great. So it goes really way back. At what age did you start really karate?
14.
14 years old.
14, yeah.
Same as me, so it's never too late compared
No,
to some.
I think it's the proper age, because if you start very young, nowadays we have so many different level competition and different age competition, and until you reach the adults competition, you already you miss the drive to do it. You already seen a lot of competition, preparation, and then the top is adults. No matter how good you are in kids, juniors, cadets, I think the top level is the adults. And until you're there, you already sucked. So I think it's good to start young, but from different perspective is not so nice.
Yes. Throughout your career, which has been quite long, what would you consider the most memorable of your successes, moments of your career, whether it is successes, maybe losses that really affected you? So we often talk about how success can be a great thing to display, to be proud of, but sometimes even losses can, I guess, in my opinion, really boost you to go even further beyond.
But I think what keeps something inside you starts from the beginning of your preparation. So I think every competition gives you something very valuable, and which can be different from every other competition. So it's important to have a look what has changed during your preparation, what new stuff you develop, you found during this way, and the competition you're focused, try to do what you have prepared and it's very short. Of course, it's something very valuable for your mind, because under pressure you see how you react, and this is very important. But I think main thing is the preparation. It's long, it's tiring, and you change through this long period. And I think for every competition it's different.
And from all you've accomplished now as a retiring fighter, only for a couple of months, so you were fighting again not even a year ago. What does your experience make you feel when you look back at everything you've accomplished? What does it make you feel, whether it is to you personally, but also to the people who know you from the videos, your videos on YouTube, your fights? Maybe some of you, many people saw you fight even today from France, saw you fight in Japan or in European tournament. How does everything that you've accomplished make you feel today?
I'm glad that when people look at the fights, they can find something for them and something they can try in their trainings. And this means that my job was well done.
Yes, I get your point. What is your personal philosophy regarding Kyokushin, and how it does influence your daily approach? And I mean by that Kyokushin is a philosophy, is a martial art. So we've got many values from Kyokushin. So we can sometimes take Kyokushin out of training to help us in our daily life. And how did it help you maybe through your life personally?
I think if you train Kyokushin only in the dojo, then you look at it only as a sport.
Yes.
But you have to take what you achieved during your trainings to take it outside. And of course I'm not talking about punches and kicks, but well, one of the basic but very important stuff is when you have something difficult, when you have difficulties, and not to give up, but to this motivates you. This is something that Kyokushin is giving. One of the most common sentences, never give up, the Kyokushin spirit. But if you only do it in the dojo and outside you quit very easy, then it's not good. But same time, even if you're not a good fighter, if you're not a good in kata, but if you can apply this in your daily life, then you're very good in karate, in
Yes.
my belief.
And
So technique, kata, fighting, this is the visual part that grabs the people, but actually if we can manage to overcome a fear, a difficulty in our life, this is a much more important victory than in competition or make a good Jodan Mawashi.
Most definitely. And I guess coming from a champion like you, it says a lot, because again, people will often see the trophies, the victories, but we should be, so what you say, we should be careful about the values Kyokushin bring us for our daily life, to try overcome challenge, thinking maybe a certain Kyokushin way, certain Kyokushin mindset, even beside the training.
Yeah, I think in Kyokushin karate, I've said this many times, but it helps you look inside yourself, and through this you start to understand the people around you more. So as long as you train, as long as you practice, and you see that the kicks, the punches, blocks, katas, sparring, this is all like a moving meditation, just to understand yourself better.
Yes. Are there opponents that really marked you more than others on the mat? Is there somebody that you really enjoyed fighting, or maybe even hated fighting because of many things, style maybe, or really a fight that really is in your mind until the end?
Well, usually when I fight someone and I lost to him, I try to take as much as I can from this fight and to change my fight. So next time to be better. But for sure, the the opponent that is worthy for me, most worthy for me, is Shihan Tsukamoto because I I was learning from him since really young age, and I think they call him the revolutionary fighter for a reason because he changed the karate a lot because it used to be very stationary, not many different techniques, but he changed this especially for the heavyweight. And if you see the way he teaches and explaining techniques, movement, is unique.
Um, Being a champion really asks sacrifice. Like you said before, it's a lot of training, it's a lot of pain, it's a lot of time, or I guess, or a lot of money. How did you cope with your personal life? Has it been difficult to have like a personal life with the Kyokushin training, having to represent your country, of course? Has it been really difficult to associate training and personal life?
Well, first of all, I will start that I wouldn't say it's sacrifice because, of course, it takes time, uh, money, and energy, but at least we do what we like. So I wouldn't say it's some great burden, some struggle.
Both.
No, it's something that you love, and when you love something that much, you enjoy giving your energy and time. But of course, the support of my family, my parents, my wife, kids, has always been a push that helped me a lot through my career. Also, the dojo where I trained for all my life, they supported me a lot. My shihans, and maybe this is the reason why I kept competing for so long. Because when you feel supported and you love what you do, why bother?
Yeah, I guess even your entourage can drive you to do better, to train even more, and
Exactly.
I guess that's the difference between maybe people who are alone and people who have relatives that don't really like this world and this time
probably-
that they're giving. So definitely a chance you had by being your family and your close one supporting you throughout all that time.
I really
Um,
appreciate that.
You talked about Shan Tsukamoto. Are there any other mentors or people that inspire you to do karate? You talked also about movie stars. It can be movie stars, maybe someone that is not even in karate. You talked about your father. Are there, beside all these people, other people that maybe push you to go beyond, to do better?
Well, except the shihans that I worked through my entire karate journey, Shihan Popov, Shihan Trampov, Shihan Midori, Shihan Tsukamoto, Ishihan. Well, outside karate, I would say these are my parents because my mom has a very, how to say, she's ill and she cannot move a lot, but her spirit is shocking strong. She never give up, she's always with a smile, and this is for years. And also my father who is supporting her and he's always behind her in this very difficult journey. So I think they are my inspiration in this sense.
Was um, as a world champion started like a while ago. You've seen Kyokushin evolve, like you said before, with Shihan Tsukamoto. You said it, who almost created a revolution through to how Kyokushin was practiced in championship. Um, how have you seen Kyokushin really evolve beside that? Whether it is in kata tournaments or in fighting tournaments, meaning maybe you have seen more people coming into competition. Maybe competition was more selective before. Now we know that there are many competitions in the world. How have you seen Kyokushin grow as a discipline all over the world?
You mean like a fighting style or?
I mean in the sense that uh, more and more Kyokushin is a worldwide discipline. So have you noticed that maybe Kyokushin grew? Kyokushin became like a trend, especially in your countries, in Eastern countries. Kyokushin is quite famous. So as Kyokushin really evolved through time compared to when you started, maybe more people come into the dojos to fill in, to train.
Okay. Well, in the 90s, especially for Bulgaria, it was the peak.
Oh,
It was, there was no place to train. It was crowded everywhere. Well, now we have so many other martial arts, MMA, and mainly, I'm talking about Bulgaria, mainly the practitioners are kids, and until they reach adult age, they disappear, which is kind of painful
painful, yeah.
because you put a lot of energy and time to work with these kids to grow, and then but this is life. I understand that
Yes.
not everyone can or want to continue, but I'm sure what they get from karate stays in their hearts for the whole life.
It's true that these disciplines are getting more TV time, more attention, even though sometimes they get they don't show as many values as Kyokushin or martial arts do, but still getting popular. And sometimes it's a shame to see a kid, a promising kid, to say he's gone to football, MMA, or I don't know, but. Yeah, definitely a shame that Kyokushin is maybe not put more to the stand, maybe not put more in front of the media, the TV.
Yeah, but like you said, where the media is where the money are, and in Kyokushin, sometimes there are competitions with money, like the champion of champions, but um, most of it we fight just for us, for our own build up, for our own experience, just because we enjoy and want to improve, and we don't fight for money. And this way, the media won't be with Kyokushin.
And it's a personal question because as everybody, I would like Kyokushin to grow as a discipline, that people would come back to it. Not only because it has value, but also because we know it's efficient. We know it's real karate, as we call it, as we like to call it. So, do you think it would be bad if Kyokushin grew a little bit more as MMA does, with a bit more money, with a bit more attention, because we know the values it can bring? So, is it a bad thing to think about growing in such a fashion?
Well, depends of us. If we change because of this more money involved, then it's not a good thing. But if we manage to keep ourselves the way we are, then it's not a problem, I think.
Would be a question of balance, being
Yeah.
able to keep our fundamentals and
Yeah, if we keep our philosophy, the way we react to lose or win, the way we behave at the tatami, then it's okay.
have you some advice for young practitioners or less young like myself, because I still want to fight in tournaments. So I'm taking everything I can now to try and make the last 10 years. Do you have any advice for people who maybe even older, who want to enter a competition or who want to really progress to even to your level?
Well, I think try competition is a must. It's part of your journey. You can train many years in the dojo, but you have to be under pressure to see where you are. And this is the closest we have. Of course, you can fight on the street, but only for self-defense, and try to escape as much as possible these situations. So competition is like the grading competition. It's a check of your level, not only physical strength, but mainly in your mind. So to see how you react in a stress situation, it's very valuable, because we think I can do that, I can do this, and when you're under stress, you can do nothing. So,
A totally different situation.
so this is the closest we have, and when you're there, you cannot go back. You just have to stand and
So you would say
Go
to them,
for it.
just try it out at least
try.
once.
Of course, try. It doesn't matter the result, but like I said, the preparation, the experience in that day, the stress level, it's something very important, and you cannot find it everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah, definitely. And what about now that you have retired, for future projects? Have you planned on being a full-time coach for your dojo as well as the national Bulgarian team, maybe?
Well, for now, these are my main obligations. I teach in the dojo, also prepare the national team at the camps. You have to select the fighters. And I would also like to improve as a referee, because I think, especially for Shinkyokushin, we need referees who've been fighting, not only referee. Because when you have the experience of the fight, you kind of feel more the details. If you're only on the rules, it's a different judging. You cannot see the small stuff inside the fight.
If you haven't been into
If you haven't been
into a
fighting,
fight.
yeah.
Great. And maybe a word for the end. Have you like 3 favorite action movies? Because you told me that you, or at least one, or at least maybe 2, 3 favorite, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 different favorite movies that really made you love martial arts, made you love fighting,
Well,
or maybe an actor.
actors, that's easy. Well, Bruce Lee,
Bruce Lee, of course.
of course, and speaking about movies, Enter the Dragon and The Way of the Dragon is if you look, the story is not something special, but this guy makes the movie very special.
Yeah.
Even now, if you see the physique, the movements, the fighting, I find it hard for, even nowadays, with all these computers, to replicate all the tension of the fight that he creates.
Of course. Os, maybe another word to conclude, or
Well, I first of all thank you again for the interview, and I would like to say to everyone who's following you that just to try to challenge themselves every day. Something very small, but try to overcome something. Could be smoking, could be drinking, could be eating, sugar, anything. But try to exercise a little bit to calm your mind, and a little bit to overcome some small obstacle, but every day, and this will change their life. for
Awesome.
sure.
Thank you very much, Shian Valery Dimitrov, for this interview. Thank you for giving me the honor to interview you, and I hope everyone will take insight from one of the greatest Kyokushin fighters and Kyokushin practitioner on the planet. Shian, I thank you very much, and thank you for your training during this camp. Os.
Us.
And I think we are done. I hope the sound will be okay because everyone was running
Too-
around. So
Too noisy?
I
you
think
anyway.
so. Thank you very much. And